Welcome back. We are over halfway in the book. I'd like to say we're about 2/3 through the book, but my brain is fried, so I'm not even going to try and do math at all. Oh my gosh. Gotta save all that energy for reading and doing amazing narrating voices, getting all those characters sounding great. Do a little bit of a British accent and say, oh, look over there, there's a kitty. Maybe a little, not so strong. Look over there, there's a kitty. Oh, look over there, there's a kitty. It's kind of alright, I don't know. Okay, what am I doing? Chapter 13. We're just gonna dive right into it because, again, my brain is fried. Chapter 13, Exceptions and Expectations. Savannah pretended to scratch her earlobe but plugged it instead. Shelly gave a hesitant smile, and Deborah didn't notice either actions but bounded forward as her shriek descelled and she encircled both of her daughters in her arms. What are you girls doing here? Not breathing, apparently, Savannah sputtered, annoyed by her mother's nonsensical and overly tight grip. Deborah squeezed harder for one more second and released her daughters. Sorry, I can't believe you two are here. She squealed again, and Shelly laughed while scratching a new spot behind her ear. Within a second, she noticed and tucked her hair behind her ear, trying to make it look more natural when she dropped her hand. Forcing a smile onto her face, Savannah looked up and down the hallway. Can we come in? Yes, come in, Deborah said. I'm watching Friends. You can put your luggage over there, or you can bring it up to your guys' bedroom. It's still decorated with Brandon's stuff, but I can change that later. It's been a while since I decorated the room for both of you. What are you two doing here? Her mouth dropped from a smile to a sagging frown. Is everything okay? Facing each other, Savannah and Shelly searched for the right answer. Bring up their problems now and get it over with? Their arched eyebrows said no. We thought it would be good to visit you, Savannah said. Really? I find that surprising since you just hung up on me a week ago, Deborah said. They had not prepared enough for this event. Their mother already had questions and suspicions. Why had Shelly thought things would go the easy way and her mother would stay excited to see them? Searching for a way to revert her mother's reaction, Shelly said, We're sorry, Mom. We haven't visited you a lot, but we came up with this idea last minute and thought it'd be fun to surprise you. Hoping her mother wouldn't notice Savannah's clenched fists, Shelly waited for a response. Thank you. I appreciate that, Deborah said. Well, it's about time you girls are here. This will be fun. I'll need to set up the air mattress. An audible breath came out of Shelly. She needed to keep her mother in a good mood until they were ready to have this serious discussion with her. Thunk sounded as Savannah's suitcase and carry-on hit each stair-step. Be careful, Savannah. I have important papers lying around that I need to get off the stairs. I've been so busy with work and I haven't had much time. The only time I get a break is to watch a show, and even then I'm still doing stuff. Savannah hastily rolled her luggage into the bedroom, but Shelly stayed downstairs and heard all her mother said. She nodded and replied, Sorry we didn't warn you. I hope you still have time to spend together, that you're not too busy with work. Don't be sorry. I'm so glad to see both of you. Deborah lowered her voice. I'm surprised to see your sister. I'm not quite sure how you managed that, but this will be good. I need to talk to her. This whole attitude act isn't working for me. And I miss you too. Wow, I am the luckiest mother in the world to have both of my daughters here with me. Shelly checked the stairs, but she didn't see Savannah and assumed her sister wouldn't make her descent anytime soon. I'm going to go take my bag upstairs, but I'll come right back down. Is that okay? Of course. Do what you need to do. I don't mind, but don't take too long. I want to talk to you. I can't believe you're here. Okay, hurry upstairs and I'll wait for you on the couch. Heaving her bag strap back over her shoulder, Shelly took taxing steps up the wooden planks. After the first few, she paused at the halfway landing before continuing upward. She had managed to cause disarray in a couple stacks of paper, unlike Savannah, who had avoided them naturally, despite having to heave luggage ahead of and behind her. Her sister would have cared much less about disturbing her mother's work. Tired, Shelly muttered a half-curse that ended in a bunch of indistinguishable sounds. She let her bag fall down onto the floor so that she could try and fix the disorder. After she had put the papers in their guesstimated order and the assumed piles they should go in, she reloaded herself with her bag and made the last few steps to the room, closing the door behind her. The bag dropped with a dump. I hate carrying this, she said. I knocked over everything. Ha, good job, Savannah replied. I thought you weren't going to bring a bunch of clothes. I brought textbooks, Shelly said. And books? Gross. Savannah shuffled through her clothes, letting shirts, dresses, and leggings fly onto the ground. What are you doing? Unpacking. Aren't you going to go back down to Mom? Nope. Okay. Shelly bent over, did the tasking toss of her bag away from the door, and left to return to her mother. On the way down the stairs, Shelly forgot her sister's insolence and decided to be with her mother, glad that she had the meet and greet out of the way. They would have lots to do, and she felt unnerved about that. Her mother did work more than Shelly thought she should, and this meant they might not get as much done as Shelly hoped they would. Regardless, she decided that her mother's positive reception of them meant that she likely had time to spend with her daughters, or if she didn't, she would at least likely make time. Finding her mother in the corner of the couch, Shelly half jumped onto the plush area in the middle. Deborah laughed. "Be careful, Shelly. These cushions could get damaged easily, and I'd hate for you to hurt yourself on the couch." "Right. I guess I've never dealt with such a couch before." The appearance of the large, bed-like cushions argued they were more than furniture. The couch encompassed most of the room, and while its size made it easy to lounge, it made Shelly uneasy for some reason. "Just slide onto it next time," Deborah said. "I got put behind on a few payments for this, which was worth it, but all the more reason to be careful. So, are you girls sure you're okay?" "We're okay, sort of. I mean, we're tired from the flight, but good. Savannah's unpacking, I think, but we're doing good." Shelly looked out one of the windows behind her. The tops of multiple buildings glistened with puddles close to evaporating and completing their journey to the sky. People bustled in and out of the bottom of buildings. She could have stayed the rest of the day there, watching. "You're not in any trouble?" Deborah asked. "Are things okay with John?" "Things are good." The words leapt out. Shelly had not once told her mother about John's dissonance with Deborah, and she never intended to, especially if it meant sharing that John didn't want her to visit her daughter-deprived mother. "Are you sure? You know you can always talk to me, Gumdrop." Shelly flinched at the nickname, but her mom continued. "Marriage isn't easy, and I don't want you to end up in a bad situation. Trust me, I've been there. Not that your dad isn't a good guy, but bad things can happen in a marriage between two good people. Well," Deborah cut herself off, covering her mouth with her hand. Ignoring that her mom had used her dad as a negative example of partnership, again, regardless of the many times Shelly had asked her not to, she said, "Things are good. I promise. If anything, I think that John's a lot better for me than I am for him." "I'm sure that isn't true, but I'm glad you're happy. I know how hard it can be when you're young and trying to make sense of everything, but I'm glad it's all working out, and don't hesitate to let me know if anything is ever going on. I want to help you however I can. Do you need money?" "No, we're good," Shelly lied. She and John were still struggling financially, but telling her mother about this would lead to more questions, and Shelly knew she would eventually need to reveal her pregnancy and miscarriage and enter a conversation about how, yes, they knew about Medicaid and should have signed up for it sooner, and no, they didn't know when they would try for a baby again, but they probably wouldn't wait until she was 30. She hoped to never have that conversation with her mother. "Okay, well, let me know if there's anything I can do." Nodding her head, Shelly looked back at the window. Most of the blinds on the building across the street were pulled. Its top floor didn't reach the floor Shelly's mother's apartment was on. Being so high above others fascinated Shelly. "So, catch me up," her mom said. "What's going on in your life? You would not believe what happened at work the other day. Have I told you about Jack?" "No." "There's not much to tell. I had a date with him last week. He's a very handsome man, but I'm not sure I'm interested. Truthfully, I found his manners to be very disappointing. Are you listening?" Shelly turned back to face her mom. "Sorry, I'm listening." Flicking her hair behind her shoulders, Deborah said, "Anyway, he arrived nearly a half hour late to our date, which I can understand. Sometimes life gets busy. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt." Humming, Shelly tried to listen to her mother's dating life, yet a tiredness fell upon her as she gave these efforts. The light glinting off the city fascinated her enough to keep her awake, while her mother continued on. "And during our dinner, I enjoyed talking to him. He wasn't great at asking questions, but he held the conversation well, and that was nice enough. However, when the waiter brought his pasta, his disposition changed completely." She paused and waited until Shelly made eye contact with her. "He said he had asked for steak instead of chicken, and he was so rude to the poor waitress. He told her, 'Excuse me, I know you're not the cook, but I thought they'd at least hire waiters who could see,' or something like that. He rambled on, and the poor girl got him pasta with steak, but he didn't give them a good tip after that. I can understand why he felt upset. Those chefs definitely messed up, but I do not like when people treat servers poorly." "He sounds like a jerk," Shelly said. "At least you don't have to see him again." "Actually, I'm going on another date with him tonight." "What?" Resisting a smile, Deborah waved her hand and said, "I suppose I should give him a second chance. Everyone has bad days, and we have a few things in common. I want to see where it goes." Shelly played with a loose string on her jeans. "Okay." "Why? Do you think I shouldn't?" "Because I'm not trying to judge anyone based on a bad night. It'd be bad for me to be judgmental." "Right." Shelly stopped playing with the string and looked past the stairs' black railing up to the second floor. "So, how long will you be gone tonight?" "Oh, I don't know. A few hours. From 6 to 8 or 9, maybe 10, depending on how well it goes."
I assume you girls will be visiting for a while? At least a week, right? It'd be a waste of money to do any less. You could stay a whole month if you wanted. Well, I have school and my anniversary with John in 2 weeks. Right. But we should be here at least a week, I think. Good. When do you plan on leaving?
Shelly thought about giving her a random date, but she didn't have the energy to pick one. If her mom spent too many nights going on dates or working late, who knew when they'd have time to talk to her? She didn't want to commit to leaving before they could sit down with her and resolve their issues, and she also didn't want to upset her mother by picking a date that seemed too soon for them to leave. She wished her mother would stick around for the first night of their stay so they could get the bad stuff out of the way, but she didn't know how to infringe on her plans. I'm not sure when we'll leave, Shelly said. We booked it one way. We thought we would see how busy you were with work before we chose a return date.
Good thinking.
Deborah seemed to run out of things to say about her life.
Should I press play?
Shelly shrugged. A scene of friends started. John's home felt empty. It had every piece of furniture, the few they owned, and every item that occupied space in that apartment. The lighting looked the same as usual, dim but not dark, and with a clear sky outside, the sun even shone into the living room more than usual. Yet, John felt that his home contained nothing of substance without Shelly there. The silence didn't feel peaceful, but rather it reminded him that his company was lacking. By mid-afternoon, he decided to walk down to Lucas's and spend time in a place less desolate. He knocked on the door, waited, and then dialed his friend's number. Lucas answered and confirmed to John that he was not home, but studying on campus instead. John asked to join, and when Lucas said yes, he hung up the phone smirking to himself, wondering what it must be like to play the guitar for homework. When he met up with Lucas, he vocalized his joke about Lucas hitting the guitar instead of hitting the books. As he said it out loud, he recognized that it sounded much more humorous in his head, but Lucas laughed. He knew that despite the jokes, John respected the work Lucas put into his music, and even if John hadn't respected it, Lucas felt no need to justify his career choice to others. The music room shone under yellow stage lights, with dark walls that made it feel like John had stepped onto a stage. The floor was as light-colored as bamboo and smooth, no creaking or squeaking. Lucas sat in a round, swiveling stool in front of a piano. His acoustic guitar had a clear pick protector, which gave its body a clean finish. It sat on his leg like a child, safeguarded by his arms. Once John seated himself on the stool next to Lucas, the two talked about memes and different YouTube videos that had come across. John insisted that Lucas play the new adjustments to his album, so he smoothly picked out the melodies for John. After they had said all the same jokes over a few times and talked about all the casual things they could, they became more aware that there were no other people in the room to join in the conversation. There were no other means to avoid wandering into more serious subjects. Swiveling his chair to face the wall, John grabbed Lucas's shoulder. By the way, congratulations on the pregnancy again. Not sure if I officially said that. Lucas gave a small smile. Thanks. Are you... I'm good. John dropped his hand to his lap. Don't worry about it. I'm happy for you. Thanks. Fatherhood will be crazy, but so far the pregnancy's going well, so we're hoping the best for the twins. That's great. Swiveling back and forth, John tried to keep his thoughts blank and not wonder what it would be like if he were in Lucas's position. Shelly, healthy and pregnant with twins. Plucking a few strings on his guitar, Lucas changed the subject. Is Shelly doing okay? I heard she went to New York. John's face crinkled as he frowned. Yeah. He shook his head and laid it into one of his hands. Sorry, yeah. It's exciting for her. Sort of. I don't know. She thinks it will be good to see her mom, so. As the best man on John's wedding day, Lucas had covered for him as he avoided his mother-in-law. Anytime John complained about that woman, he spoke briefly. He didn't need to say much about her. You don't like her mom, right? Lucas said. She'd be alright if Shelly and I didn't have to talk to her, or see her. But I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. Lucas waited. I don't think she's very good for Shelly, John said. How come? Shelly... Well, Amber's probably told you, but Shelly struggles. She doesn't think very highly of herself. Like every time she messes up or thinks she messed up, she freaks out and makes the situation 10 times worse or gets way sad, John thought. He didn't vocalize the more personal parts that came with marriage. Unless it harmed him, he felt he had no reason to expose Shelly's emotional vulnerabilities. With that in mind, he continued, choosing what information he shared carefully. Anyway, she always feels worse after seeing her mom, even after talking to her mom on the phone. I try to help. Sometimes it seems like it's getting better for her, John said, giving a glance to the side. But then she talks to her mom again. Man, that sucks. Amber used to have a bad relationship with her mom too, but it's been a lot better for her the past year. Do you think that will happen with Shelly? No, John said. He swung his chair to face Lucas. No, I don't think it will get better. Her mom would have to seriously change, but I don't think she wants to. Shelly's tried to talk to her before. We'll see. Shelly's actually in New York to try and fix things, but if that doesn't work, I think we'll need to cut her mom out of our life. Wow. Lucas ran his hand up the guitar's neck. That's heavy. Good luck, man. Thanks. After so much talking, Lucas played a song the two knew the lyrics to. John had yet to figure out the melody and had to mumble at parts. Musical training had been foreign to him for his whole life, but Lucas didn't seem to mind it when his friend sang loud and off-key. As John joined in, their voices beautifully ruptured together. Saying goodbye to his friend left John with two things: homework and his thoughts about Shelly. Maybe I should call, he thought. He didn't. Instead, he continued to work on his project in the engineering building, a place that felt more comfortable than his home for the time being. He tried to focus on numbers, but nervous expectations wove their way in. What if Shelly came home, abandoned by her mom and distraught? He estimated how many days she would likely spend crying. Days became months. As he continued to work on his project and think about Shelly, the pencil marks grew darker and thicker on his paper. When the writing material could not withstand the writing tool any longer, a hole gaped wide open from the pencil's puncture. He tightened his grip and then relaxed. As writing was no longer effective, he used his pencil to tap the table and keep his hands occupied while he thought more about what Shelly must be going through. Her mom better have been nice, he thought. He could imagine Shelly's voice. I know my mom will be so excited to see me. Yes, he thought, she'd be excited, but nice? Maybe if she were a good parent who wasn't completely insane, a control freak, completely unaware of others and completely focused on herself. Later, he would feel a slight remorse for the unkind descriptions he rambled off in his head. In the moment, he stood behind his convictions 110%. As much as Shelly wanted John to like her mom, he couldn't. Not with how much she had harmed Shelly before John could protect her. Not with how much she continued to harm Shelly, even as John did his best to keep her safe. The thoughts would not stop thinking. John called Shelly. Hello? Hey, Shelly, John said. I just wanted to check in. How'd the flight go? He would wait before approaching his real concern. Pretty good. I slept a lot. I talked in my sleep, which was super embarrassing. That's okay. You're pretty cute when you do it. Most of the time. Shelly laughed in mock shock, but John didn't feel up to joking around much more than that. Are you at your mom's? Yeah, I'm with her right now. Hi, John. Her mom's voice piped in, over friendly. Standing up from his desk, John grabbed his backpack. Even on the phone, he couldn't escape Shelly's mother. Are you guys busy? Do you have time to talk? Maybe for a little bit. My mom has a date tonight, and we're helping her get ready. He walked out of the lab and out into the hall, where a few students sat studying. Maybe I'll call you tonight then. That'd be good. Shelly's voice drifted. I should go. My mom wants me to convince Savannah to come and help us. I love you. Talk to you later. Love you. It didn't surprise him that her mom would leave her for a date. He didn't bother to spare time to sympathize with the lady, that her daughter's arrival was last minute, that she didn't have time to rearrange her schedule. He knew these things, these reasons for leaving. He also knew the neglectful habits of Shelly's mother, and John had no mercy for Deborah's dating life. Family came first, and dates could get rescheduled. To John, these were not reasons for leaving. They were excuses for selfishness. Perhaps there were exceptions, but with Shelly's mother, egomania was not the exception. It had become the expectation. End of chapter! Thanks for tuning in, and as promised, I will be posting another video tomorrow. And we are really cruising through this book, and I'm excited to just see what y'all think of the ending. So thank you for those who have stuck with it, and I will see you next time. Like this video if you like this video, subscribe if you want to see more, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.